Hi everyone, I'm Erin. I'm bringing you your Thespian Thursday content. Let's jump in. Today we are celebrating a Broadway musical composer who just recently celebrated his 90th birthday. The man who is deemed to have reinvented the American musical, none other than Stephen Sondheim. His contribution to American musical theater is invaluable, and he is, in a word, a legend. CenterStage has been so fortunate to produce and present his works on our stage for many, many years. To name a few, Sweeney Todd, Company, and A Little Night Music. Our most recent production to celebrate Sondheim was our 2018-19 season with Into the Woods. Into the Woods premiered on Broadway in 1987. That year, it also cleaned up at the Tonys alongside Phantom of the Opera with Best Score, Best Book, and Best Actress in a Musical. The musical intertwines the plots of several fairy tales, exploring the consequences of the characters' wishes and quests. The main characters are taken from Little Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, Rapunzel, and Cinderella, as well as several others. The musical is tied together by a story about a childless baker and his wife who are on a journey to build their family. They interact with a witch who has cursed their family, along with all of the other characters that we know and love. To remember this incredible production, we've invited some of the stars from our show to share about their experience with this incredible story and this music. Please enjoy our Thespian Throwback Thursday.
Hi, my name is Roman Tate, and I play Jack in Into the Woods by Stephen Sondheim at JCC. This role was definitely on my bucket list for a while because one of the first songs I sang at any type of competition was Giants in the Sky, which is the main song sung by Jack. It's hard to choose my favorite song or scene, but if I had to narrow it down to 3 specific songs, I would say No More, Your Fault, and I kind of have to say Giants in the Sky, don't I? The most difficult song has to be Your Fault, because that is the song where all the characters are finally coming together, and then they're tossing around the blame about why the events of the show happen, and they keep overlapping one another throughout the entire song. The show has maintained its popularity because it is a mixture of all these super well-known fairy tales, like Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, and then it's just bringing together all these different characters, and it's putting a new perspective on the entire story.
I am Olivia Manning, and I played Little Red Riding Hood in CenterStage's production of Into the Woods. I would say that Into the Woods was definitely a bucket list show for me because it is my all-time favorite musical, so it's always nice to be in the show and experience a show that you've had on your bucket list since you were like 10 years old. My favorite song to be in was probably Your Fault because it's such a fast-paced number, and being Little Red in it is especially fun because she does very little, but the things that she does is like yelling at people, so it's just like 3 minutes straight of me getting to like yell at Roman Tate, and that's very fun. It was probably the most difficult song to learn though, because you would think that a song that you don't do very much in would be pretty easy because you just say like 2 words, but if you forget those words and you're like, was I supposed to say something? You're gone. The song is gone. You're already past it. What definitely surprised me was the take that Michael Drury took on it. He made it sort of with a Black Lives Matter spin, which I thought was really cool because I had never seen anybody do that with the show, and it was really interesting to see how he brought that message to life. And I do think that that's why Into the Woods has maintained its popularity over time. Like, it's been around for like 40 years now. And I think that that's why it's still here, is because you can take so many different spins on it. It's such a simple, like, it's a fairy tale, but you can make it into so many things because of the messages that fairy tales have in real life.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I played the baker in Into the Woods. The thing that surprised me the most about the show was how accurate Sondheim's portrayal of what it feels like to want a child is. During the process, my husband and I were trying to adopt a child or acquire a child by some means. We'd been in that process for like 5 years. So actually diving into the lyrics of the baker and the baker's wife to like hear the desperation in their voices and those lines was really moving and touching. It was very surprising. Some of my favorite moments in the show were the first midnight, second midnight, those little moments where they come through and do their little halves of the parables. My favorite one is when Jack's mom comes out the first time and she says, "The slotted spoon doesn't hold much soup." And then after Jack does some really cool stuff, she comes back at the end and she says, "The slotted spoon can catch the potato."
Hey, it's Michael Drury here. Thank you for asking me to share my thoughts on Sondheim and Into the Woods. I love directing Sondheim. Into the Woods was not the first time that I directed Sondheim. I directed several of his shows in the past and really, really loved directing him. I really loved directing this cast at CenterStage of Into the Woods. The reason I love directing Sondheim and working on Sondheim is because there's always something new to uncover. There are more nuances in the text. You find them as you're rehearsing. And then you also find subtle nuances in the music, even more down to the core than even the motifs that are on purpose there to guide you to feel how you're going to feel about characters. It's always informing you and it's always telling you something. It's always making you feel something. And sometimes you don't even know why. In fact, oftentimes you don't even know why. And that can happen years after your original listening to the show. I still hear things in Into the Woods that I didn't hear when we were doing it, and we worked on it very hard for several months. So I think that's what makes Sondheim so timeless and his shows so endearing, and the reason you come back to them over and over again, because there's always something new to hear. So happy birthday, Mr. Sondheim. Thanks for all that you do for us.
I was also honored to be a part of this production in one of my dream roles, Cinderella. This was a dream role because I remember when I first heard this album thinking, when belting was all the rage and the skill to have, I remember thinking, I kind of sound like her. It inspired me to keep true to my own instrument and to keep pushing forward. Thanks for joining us today for our Thespian Thursday. I hope you enjoyed our little shout out to the birthday boy, Stephen Sondheim, as well as a small throwback to our own Sondheim experience at CenterStage. J Arts and Ideas, creating art and igniting ideas.